Hi everybody and welcome to our presentation, A Systematic Survey Suggested Areas for Improving Methods Guidance and led to the development of a new database. I'm Stefan from the University of Basel in Switzerland. I'd like to start with those who perform a study and face many methodological decisions. For instance, how to search the literature, how to design a study, how to frame eligibility criteria, how to design interventions or describe usual care, sample size sampling, recruitment randomization, lots of statistical considerations, but also non-statistical considerations such as saturation, how should I involve patients, how should I share the data, how should I implement my findings. For all these considerations, there are typically several, sometimes many methods to choose from. And the final decision is very important. If researchers make suboptimal or even inappropriate decisions, even for only a small number of methodological choices, the impact on the quality of research can be dramatic. Meta-researches show again and again that methodological decision-making urgently needs to be improved. For instance, in this recent meta-study, the investigators identified 1,600 RCTs included in Cochrane reviews from 2020 and 2021. So this is most recent data, and looked at the methodological quality. Those are the results of their meta-study. The authors extracted the risk of bias ratings from this 1,600 trials. And as a reminder, you can see in the gray box on the left, the Cochrane risk of bias tool is a measure of methodological quality, focusing on randomization, deviations from interventions, missing outcome data, outcome measurement, and selection of results. They plotted the ratings in this table. Yellow means high risk of bias, green unclear risk of bias, and purple low risk of bias. You can clearly see that low risk of bias, or in other words, high quality evidence, applied only to a small number of studies, precisely 8%. All the other studies had serious or unclear limitations. Not all of the limitations have to do with poor methodological decisions. Sometimes limitations are just unavoidable, but most have. This leads us to the question, why are methodological decisions often not optimal? And here is a potential model. In the green circle, there is the research team, including those who are involved in methodological decisions. It's the investigators, it's statisticians and other methodologists, for instance, qualitative methodologists. It's ethics boards and funding agencies, and also journal editors and peer reviewers. Their methodological decision-making might be influenced by personal factors, including methodological training, attitude towards methods, awareness of the decision-making challenge. Their decision-making depends on the research environment they are working in, like the research culture and tradition in their field, time constraints, lack of funding, lack of statisticians and methodologists who are available for collaboration. And their decision-making also depends on methods guidance. Can I easily find methods guidance that supports me in my methodological decision-making? Is high-quality methods guidance available? How useful is the methods guidance for me? Can I understand it? Is it easy to follow? And this is a model of methodological decision-making, and this hasn't really been the subject of research yet. This means we could do a number of studies. For instance, in order to better understand personal factors and issues of a research environment, we would have to, for instance, do online surveys of stakeholders involved or interview studies. What we did is we focused on methods guidance, and I will show in the following slides what we did. First, I'd like to show you a number of examples of methods guidance. Over the years, by looking at selected guidance articles, we observed a large variation, for instance, regarding the labels, abstract format, and development process. In this example, the authors labeled their guidance tutorial and guidance. The abstract is unstructured and the development process is not reported. This one is also called guidance, has a structured abstract and a specific methods section that reports on the development process. This methods guidance has the character of a decision aid, has a brief and unstructured abstract, and the development process is not reported. In this example, the authors labeled it recommendations for reporting. This time the abstract is missing altogether and the development process is not reported. We wanted to know if the variation across guidance articles that we observed is generalizable to recent methods guidance. So we conducted a meta-study in which we systematically looked at recent methods guidance articles. Overall, we looked at 105 guidance articles published in 12 influential journals in 2020. And here's what we found. Regarding the type of guidance, 12% were reporting guidance and 88% were other guidance. By looking at 105 methods guidance articles, we identified 38 different expressions for guidance. Of those guidelines, only 38% had a mesh term expressing guidance and only 17% had author keywords for guidance. And only 42% of those guidelines had a structured abstract. 42% reported any development process of the guidance. 22% described the expertise of authors, and 54% reported clear conflicts of interest statements. A key conclusion from our study is that we have a serious issue of findability. It's currently very difficult, often just impossible, to perform sensitive and precise searches for methods guidance. Most of the guidance articles are currently not organized. Reporting guidelines, for instance, again, these are around 12% of methods guidance published, seem to be the only type of guidance documents that are systematically organized through the Equator network. The remaining guidelines, 88%, are hidden in Medline and cannot be easily identified. Another key conclusion was that we seem to have an issue of transparency. For the majority of guidance articles, the development process was completely unclear. We don't know how the authors developed their recommendations. All we have is to place trust that the authors are experts and know what they are doing. Most of the time, we don't know what the expertise of authors is. In addition, we found conflicts of interest statements to be mostly unclear. For instance, many authors stated that they had received funding from the industry. We were not able to judge, however, what the potential impact on the content of the guidance document could be. And finally, there's something that we did not investigate. We did not assess the quality or usefulness of the methods guidance. Those would be very important research questions for future research. To assess quality, we would first have to develop quality criteria. And to assess usefulness, we would have to ask the users. All right, this was the first part of the presentation. Now I'd like to show you a solution that we have developed for the findability issue. It's a new database called LIGHTS, Library of Guidance for Health Scientists. You can find it on the website lights.science. This is how the search interface looks like. On the top you can search for a methodological challenge. On the left you have specific search filters, and currently the library includes 1,246 guidance articles. This is an example for using the library. I entered sample size calculation and used a filter to restrict the search to randomized controlled trials. This resulted in 12 guidance documents. I clicked on the first one, which is called Delta 2, and seems to be a rather important guidance paper. Those are the key features of LIGHTS. Our aim is to put all methods guidance article in one place. We offer methods-specific search filters. Website is open access. It's a peer-supported initiative, and we will do regular updates. It's a living database. If you like the idea, we would be very grateful if you help us. You can help us by disseminating LIGHTS on social media. You could include LIGHTS in toolboxes for researchers and mention it in lectures. You can also help us improve guidance by using it and provide feedback. For instance, if a guideline is lacking or wrongly indexed. And most importantly, we would be very grateful if you could share methods guidance that you think should be included and isn't already included with us by just sending us an email. Here's something that I'd like to mention. It's a project that's closely related to LIGHTS. In LIGHTS, what we do is we look at all the guidance articles and we index them with methodological terms, and we do that in duplicate. And why is that necessary? For instance, here are just two examples of methodological concepts. For instance, one is applicability, and you can see there are lots of alternative terms. For instance, generalizability, external validity, transferability, context suitability, transportability, transposability, directness, indirectness, all alternative terms, related terms, synonyms for applicability that otherwise one would have to consider in the search strategy. Or another example is subgroup analysis. Synonyms are subgroup effect, differential effect, interaction, moderation, predictive factor, heterogeneity of treatment effects. There is currently no collections for all those synonyms. So in parallel to indexing the guidance documents for LIGHTS, we are developing this taxonomy and thesaurus for health research methodology. We currently call it Theremy, and we hope we can publish that soon as an independent resource, for instance, for information specialists who are looking for alternative terms, information specialists who are conducting a systematic review of a methodological topic. Next steps in our initiatives are the following. We'd like to further develop the LIGHTS database. For instance, we would like to experiment with machine learning to identify methods, guidance that is eligible for LIGHTS. And as I mentioned, we'd like to publish the taxonomy we are developing. We'd like to create a registry for methods guidance that is under development. We'd like to conduct stakeholder surveys and interviews to better understand the personal factors, environmental factors that influence methodological decision making. We'd like to develop quality criteria for methods guidance. What is a good methods guidance? What is a useful methods guidance? And finally, once we better understand the situation, we'd like to develop guidance for developers of methods guidance. And this is my final slide with all my collaborators. Thank you very much to my collaborators. Thank you for listening, and we welcome any feedback to our research. Thank you very much.